Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video series, we will deep dive into top 50 Spring Boot interview question and answers. Spring Boot is a popular framework for building Java applications quickly and efficiently. Whether you have just started out or have been working with it for a while, these questions will help you understanding of Spring Boot and clearing your interviews. To ensure clarity, we will break down these questions into multiple parts. This approach will make the content more digestible and engaging. Without further delay, let's get started into part 1 of our Spring Boot series. So question number 1, what is Spring Boot and why should I use it? Spring Boot is an extension framework of Spring Framework. It simplifies the setup and development of new Spring applications by providing default configurations and embedded server, reducing the need of boilerplate code. So while creating the Spring Boot applications, we'll get the default configurations. So here is my sample Spring Boot application, and if you see the external libraries, we'll search for Tomcat. If you see, it is coming embedded Tomcat. So these are all default configurations coming from Spring Boot project at the time of creating Spring Boot applications. At the time of working with object relation model like JPR Hibernate, we no need to write the logic to create session factory and transaction related functionality. Spring Boot will provide us. So with this, Spring Boot simplifies our application setup and development. Question number 2, how do I create Spring Boot application? To create the Spring Boot application, you have to go to the start.spring.io. From here, you can create Spring Boot applications. And another way you can use IDEs to create the Spring Boot application. And you can use Spring CLI also to create Spring Boot applications. Question number 3, what is the main class in Spring Boot application? So here is my Spring Boot application, and if you see the SRC main Java, so here there is a class. This is a main class in Spring Boot applications. It is containing main method. So this main class is annotated with annotation Spring Boot application. This annotation comes with annotation Spring Boot configuration, annotation enable auto configuration, annotation component scan. Question number 4. What does annotation Spring Boot application do? So the annotation Spring Boot application comes with annotation configuration, annotation enable auto configuration, and annotation component scan. So annotation configuration, what it will do, it makes the class as a source of bean definitions. Annotation enable auto configuration, it is enables Spring Boot auto configuration mechanism. And annotation component scan, it scan the packages in Spring Boot application. Question number 5. How can you configure properties in Spring Boot applications? So in Spring Boot application, in the class path, you will get application.properties by default at the time of creating Spring Boot applications. So it will give only one property initially, Spring application name. So whatever the application name we are giving, this name will come. So if you want to change the server port of your application, then you can define server.port. Not only this server port, if you want to give database properties also, you need to define in application.properties. So like this, you can configure your properties related to the application in the application.properties. And there is a one more way you can able to create application.yml also. Here also you can configure the same properties in the application.yml. So you can use two types of files. One is properties, another one is yml file in Spring Boot applications. Question number 6. How do you handle exceptions in Spring Boot? So in the Spring Boot, you can handle the exceptions using annotation controller advice and annotation exception handler. So in the class level, you can use annotation controller advice, and method level, you can use annotation exception handler. So if you want to know more how to create this Spring Boot exception classes, so you already have created one video to handle exceptions in Spring Boot application. You can go through this video, you will get better understanding on Spring Boot exception handling. Question number 7. What is Spring Boot Activator and what are its benefits? So Spring Boot Activator will provide production ready features such as health checks, metrics, and monitoring for your Spring Boot applications. So it is include various endpoints that gives insights into the application health and environment. By using Activator, you can be able to see all this information about your Spring Boot applications. Question number 8. So how can you enable and use Activator endpoints in Spring Boot applications? So at the time of creating the Spring Boot application, so while creating the Spring Boot application in the dependencies level, you need to add the Spring Boot Activator into your project. And also you need to add the properties into application.properties related to Activator service. Question number 9. What are Spring profiles and how do you use them? So Spring profiles allow you to segregate parts of your application configurations. Make it is only available in certain environments. So you can able to activate Spring profiles in the multiple ways. So for example, if our application is running with multiple environments like dev, QA, UAT, and production. So if you want to load this application.properties file related to specific environment, we need to use Spring profiles here. So if you want to know how to add Spring profiles into the application and how to enable the Spring profiles, for that already I have uploaded one video in my YouTube channel. You can go through this video. You will get better understanding about Spring profile and how to add Spring profile in your application. Question number 10. What is Spring Boot Starter? So Spring Boot starters are a set of convenient dependency descriptors. So you can include in your application if you need for a particular features. So here is my Spring Boot application, and if you come to pom.xml file, and if you see there is a one Spring Boot starter parent. Okay, so what it will provide? It will provide set of dependencies. If you go inside this, it is having Spring Boot dependencies. If you go there, if you see, these are the list of dependencies coming while creating Spring Boot applications. These are all default configuration coming from the Spring Boot at the time of creating our Spring Boot application. So this is the use of Spring Starter. In this video series, I have covered 10 interview question and answers as part of 50 Spring Boot interview question and answers. Thank you for watching. If this content is helpful for you, please like, share and subscribe my channel for more content.